Okay, you can go when you're ready.
Sweet. All right, folks, let's do the darn thing. It is October 15th, 2024. It is a Tuesday, beautiful Tuesday here. Aaron Ladd joining you from Atlanta News First. We have sound. I'm mastering the buttons here. I'm figuring out what to do. I'm getting more comfortable here. And hopefully, y'all are enjoying these shows here on the stream, here on the app, here on YouTube, Facebook, wherever you're rocking with us. Please appreciate you making us part of your day here on Atlanta News First, ANF Sports tonight. A lot of things on the docket in the sports world happening in our city. We'll talk Super Bowl, of course. It's back in Atlanta for the fourth time. All of the major players in the city talking about what this means, why it was chosen once again. I mean, there's a gambit of big events that are going to be coming to Atlanta over the next decade. And the Super Bowl now has been added to that list. We will talk about that. Mercedes-Benz also hosting another major event here regionally in the clean, old-fashioned hate game, Georgia Tech. We'll give details behind that and why I think that's important. I want to give more information on why I think that's important, not just the money and the dollar figures behind it, but why I think that means something. We will preview the Georgia Tech, the Georgia Tech game, but also the UGA game, one of the biggest games in all the sport. Longhorns and Dogs, I mean, that could determine, Georgia's already got the one loss. That could determine college football playoff seeding. Maybe Georgia gets a home game down the road. A lot of things to be determined. We'll look ahead to that game once again. Bailey Burmaster will be in Austin this weekend. Follow her on socials if you aren't already for everything dog related as we lead up to that monster matchup inside the SEC. The Hawks dropped their first game of preseason play yesterday, and we previewed it a little bit. We talked about Zach. We got a little bit more to talk about with Zach, too, because he showed us a little bit different part of his game in his bag yesterday. And then we'll talk about what's on my mind. Maybe I can figure out something that's on my mind here on October 15th, Tuesday, October 15th, 2024, on ANF Sports Tonight. Story number one, biggest story of the day. This story led our newscasts. This is a story that, there were rumors and rumblings about before. There were some talks, some reports that this was coming. So not a total shock, not a total surprise, but officially official. Atlanta will be hosting Super Bowl 62 in 2028 from Mercedes-Benz Stadium. It'll be the fourth time that the city hosts a big game. And let me go over here. I got some resources. I pulled up a couple tabs on the laptop ahead of time. Hashtag pre-production. This is officially from NFL.com. From the fall league meetings, Mercedes-Benz Stadium, home of the Falcons, will host Super Bowl 62 in 2028. This is a quote from NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell. Renowned for its hospitality and rich sports and entertainment culture, Atlanta is a world-class event destination and natural fit for Super Bowl 62. And he's right. There's other information here. The 2028 game will be the fourth time. They hosted last in February 2019. Patriots beat the Rams. What a god-awful game that was. Oh, gosh. If you're rocking with us in the chat here, let us know where you watched that game from, the Super Bowl in 2019, Patriots versus Rams, because yuck is the one word I have for that one. It was the final Lombardi trophy of the Tom Brady, Bill Belichick era. We're going to toss the sound here from Roger Goodell. I have some sound queued up from Roger Goodell and Arthur Blank talking about this game, but logistically, and you've heard this when there's talk from FIFA and when there's talk from other major sporting organizations about what it takes to host these major events. Logistically, talking about teams coming in, equipment coming in, you're talking about fans coming in. Logistically, Atlanta's got the airport to be able to sustain an event like that. They've done it before, recently, historically. They've got the ability to, the actual facility. Mercedes-Benz Stadium opened in 2017. One of the premier facilities in professional sports. I don't care what Messi has to say about the turf. The proof is in the pudding on Atlanta hosting these big games. I don't think this is a surprise by anyone. I think when you're talking about cities that have hosted multiple, New Orleans, L.A., New York potentially. I don't know if New York has hosted this modern era. You got to have the track record not only to have shown that you could do it successfully in the past, but something that keeps fans engaged, keeps teams wanting to come back. There's only two teams that are going to be playing in this. Why would a fan of a team a fan of a team who's not playing in the game, why would they make the trip to the host city? Why would they go somewhere where it's hard to get to, or logistically they can't have a good time there? You can have a good time in Atlanta. That's never been a question or a concern. Y'all know I was in Kansas City the last 4 years. First day at ANF, I covered Chiefs Falcons. All of my Chiefs friends are like, "Hey man, we didn't get much sleep last night. We didn't." We were out till doing this and that with this and that. I mean, there's no shortage of things to preoccupy your time with here in the city. And it makes it a natural host for big events like this. Let's get to the sound, talking about Super Bowl 62 happening here in Atlanta, 2028. There is a tentative date for that, but we'll talk about that after we hear from the league officials in the city today.
I think this is a huge statement about this community. Atlanta, their leadership, both in the public sector and the private sector, they have been known on a global basis as the city that can make things happen, brings great events, reflects the best of America and the best of this country. And I think, the Mercedes-Benz Stadium has also become known as one of those stadiums that because of the tremendous original work that was done, but also to keep it up to pace. The technology, the comfort for fans, the experience that you get when you come to that stadium is really extraordinary. All of those things, I think, make this a perfect site for the Super Bowl.
All right, so there you heard it there. From Roger Goodell, Big Raj. The technology, the fan experience, all of these things make it an easy fit. I think what scares a lot of these big leagues and these board of executives and all this money and these major donors and all this from going to cities that don't have a track record is the unknown. And I was in KC, so I use that as a frame of reference. I know y'all are going to get sick of that. Somebody's going to make a bingo card joke about that, but for years, decades now, Kansas City, and you can use other cities like that. Minneapolis had to build a new stadium. Santa Clara had to build a new stadium. Atlanta obviously built a new stadium and is now on their second Super Bowl. The NFL doesn't want to go someplace where it's an unknown. What's the weather going to be like? How are fans going to be able to get to the stadium? How are they going to be able to use public transportation? What is, Atlanta's already got answers to those questions, not just answers, but proof of concept as well. I think that this is a home run for the city. I want to pull up my friend and coworker Connor Hines because he gave some context on, just how important this edition now comes on top of what has been a run for Atlanta now on securing these big events. We're talking Super Bowl 2028 now, Super Bowl 62, for those of you who are Roman numerally challenged like myself. Major upcoming sporting events in Atlanta. This is from my buddy Connor. 2025 National Championship for college football. That's where the wheels are already in motion on that one. That's coming up. Major League Baseball All-Star Game in that same season, 2025 as well. Atlanta will be hosting World Cup games in 2026, and that's a lot of them. That's more than just a one-off. Atlanta will be hosting the Super Bowl in 2028, which we found out officially today, and then the men's Final Four in 2031, all being hosted here in Atlanta. That's not a mistake. It's not an accident. It's not an accident. It's not a coincidence. Good leadership, proof of concept, and a good experience is what keeps these big events coming to Atlanta here now with the Super Bowl being added in 2028. We can stick with the Benz. We don't have to change gears too much for story number 2. Which also involves Mercedes-Benz Stadium here on ANF Sports Tonight for October 15th. Another official announcement that came down the pipe today. I don't know how I feel about this one. I know in the lead-in I said it was important, but I'm kind of a purist when it comes to these sort of situations. I'm sort of a purist, especially when it comes to college athletics. The headline here is that Georgia and Georgia Tech will play their annual rivalry game next season at Mercedes-Benz Stadium. For Georgia Tech season ticket holders, that game will not be included in your package. And Tech Athletics Administration believes that having this game at the Benz will generate close to $10 million in additional revenue for their program. All that's cool. All that's fine and dandy. I think it's going to be a great game. You're going to be able to sell more seats, sell more tickets. More people will be able to experience what this rivalry is, what this game is. I can't wait to experience it for myself this upcoming season. I've watched it, obviously, on TV and been a part of it for a while growing up in Stone Mountain, but never been there. Never felt it for myself. There's something different about being in the building when these things go down. And, heck, these are two good football teams, especially when the time that this one's going to get played. This could be for bowl seating, positioning, that kind of thing. Don't rule out this one making an impact late in the season. But back to what I was saying before in my original point about I'm not sure how I feel about this. With NIL, with the influx of just corporate dollars everywhere, and I want to shout out Dr. Pepper because Dr. Pepper had one of the funniest commercials out, I believe. This is not an ad. This is not a sponsor, but if you're watching Dr. Pepper, sure, why not? I'll listen. The influx of corporate dollars and corporate money, I don't know if it's watering down the product in my eyes, but it's certainly making an impact on it. We saw what happened with UNLV's quarterback saying that he was going to forego the rest of his season in redshirt because of an NIL deal gone wrong. There's something special to me about playing on campus. This is the first time this rivalry will be played at an off-campus site since 1912. There's something special to me about playing on campus. The bleachers, the fraternity and the sororities being involved and being able to walk from the campus sites, from the dorm room. Everybody thinks back to their college days. Think about walking from your dorm room to the game. And, there's just something special about playing college games, especially a college game like this that is steeped in tradition, steeped in history, one of the oldest rivalries in all the sport. There's something about playing those games on campus. It is a real home field advantage, whether you're the home team, your crowd is behind you, those are your lockers, all of that. Look, I understand that this is a business at the end of the day. These are business decisions being made, and $10 million is $10 million. You can't just print that anywhere. This is a great opportunity to inject some revenue into the program. So who am I to say no to that? But I think it's curious that it's only for 1 year. I wonder what that looks like. I wonder if this is something that we end up seeing as a recurring staple. Because, the Benz is a great venue. There's a reason why it's hosting all these big events like we talked about in the first story, and now hosting college games as well. Like it's gonna raise the profile of this game. It's gonna raise the stakes. People are gonna be excited, but it's just something you're gonna miss. Maybe I'm an old head. Maybe I need to get off my lawn. Maybe I need to get with the times and understand that this is just college sports in the year of our Lord 2024. But I don't know. I'm on the yellow light of this one. I had a nickname, Yellow Light Lad. Somebody nicknamed me that on social media because I was always down the middle on some of these stories and these takes. Put me firmly there again on this one. UGA and Tech playing at Mercedes-Benz Stadium in 2025. Meh. What do we think the split is going to be? Let me know in the chat what y'all think the split is going to be. Is it going to be more? I mean, I think I already know the answer to that one, but we can just go ahead and pose it up. We could try and we could try to have a little fun here on October 15th. What's the split going to be? Is it going to be 50-50 between Yellow Jacket Faithful and Dog Faithful in the Benz? Tech's playing in the Benz this Saturday, so it's not an unfamiliar venue for them. They saw that Notre Dame game on their schedule at a home slate and said, you know what, this is another opportunity to inject some revenue into the athletic department. Notre Dame travels well, and I'm sure that's what they are banking on. The green is the only color they care about. So this is something that maybe I should come around to. Maybe I should come around to more of these spotlight and premier games happening in NFL stadiums as opposed to the college stadiums. Let's jump now to story number 3. Did a bunch of football, started heavy with football in this episode. Appreciate y'all rocking with us. Let's jump now to NBA basketball. As we inch closer to the NBA regular season, the Hawks will tip off next Wednesday at home against the Brooklyn Nets. It was just announced that Gucci Mane is going to be performing at that game as well. Shout out Gucci, man. That's it. Just because. Tell me your favorite Gucci song in the chat as I look for the box score from last night's Hawks and Philly game. It was close for a while. And we talked about this before on this platform. How much can you really take away from preseason action? Seth Lundy rolls an ankle in pregame warmups, and he's ruled out. Cody Zeller is nowhere to be found as far as the Hawks are concerned. They're playing weird lineups. They're trying to figure things out. It was the same starting lineup as the first game, so it seems like Quinn Snyder has kind of honed in on who he thinks his guys are, who he thinks his best 5 are. But here we go, box score. And this is what stands out because we talked about this yesterday. This whole preseason and the early part of the regular season, I'm focused about one thing and one thing only. What does Zachary Risache look like? How does he involve himself in this offense? How do the Hawks get the best out of this number 1 overall pick? He had 18 in the first game and then follows it up with 14 and 8 in this one. Remember, he's coming off the bench. I don't know how long that's going to last. I don't know how long Quinn Snyder's going to keep his highly touted prospect, or maybe this is part of the ramp-up period. Maybe they're hoping that he acclimates quickly to their offense and their organization and how they run things. But 18 in the first game, 14 and almost a double-double in this one. Small sample size. I can hear it already. I can hear people in my ear hypothetically saying, "Oh, you're getting too excited about 2 preseason games. They're not playing against Joel Embiid. He wasn't active in this one. They're not playing against starters. He's going to have to play a full 82. His body has never seen." Like, I get it. I get it. Trust me, I get it. I'm not. This is still Yellow Light Lad talking to you here, even though I'm encouraged by Zachary Richauche through 2 preseason games. I understand that it's going to be a process. I even think that, and this is something that I've seen on social, and I agree with, and I want to get you all's opinion on this. I even think that the lack of hype that he's been receiving this year, like the conversation is he's like the least talked about number 1 overall draft pick ever. I think that helps. He can just chill, be himself. This kid's 19. Remember that, 19 years old. Where were you at 19 years old? He can come in under the radar, do his job, and go on. There's no expectations for him to be the savior of the franchise, to deliver Atlanta a championship, for him to bring them over the hump. I think most Hawks fans would be happy if they made the play-in this year, or were a deep playoff team, 7-8 or 6-7 on the playoff line. I don't think people are expecting Zachary Richauche to come in here and win 40-plus games as the leading scorer on the team. That's just not what the conversation is right now. One of the few people that are on the Richauche train, NBA 2K. They already posted on social media that he's going to be the Rookie of the Year this year. I wonder what y'all think about that. After he scores 14 points and grabs 8 boards in the loss to Philadelphia. Rookie of the Year, Zachary Richauche, what do we think? Small sample size, but I'm encouraged by what we've seen from the Frenchman so far. All right, let's hop back to football really quickly. Story number 4. Appreciate y'all rocking with us here on October 15th, 2024. As Kirby Smart and the Georgia Bulldogs, the number 5 ranked Georgia Bulldogs, travel to Austin, Texas to face off against Steve Sarkisian and the number 1 ranked Texas Longhorns. Sark, a former Falcon, now grabbing the bull by the horns, no pun intended, in Texas and doing a really good job with it. If you rocked with us or watched the show at 6 o'clock, I had some sound from Kirby Smart saying that this is the most complete team that they've not only faced this year, but over the last few years. Doesn't see many weaknesses. And, you know, the coaches tend to be very nice and kid gloves leading up. You know, everybody wants to wax poetic and not give their opponent any bulletin board material. But my concern here and my question here as we round out our show for October 15th, where's our confidence level in this Georgia defense? Because it has not looked pretty at all times. Games where you think it's supposed to be an easy win has not gone that case. I got some numbers here on the Georgia defense as they go in to face what's probably going to be their toughest test so far this season. Georgia is scoring 33 points a game. You know, I mean, on paper, that it looks good. But what worries me is the penalties, about 71 average yards per game. I was looking for a defensive stat since we're talking defense. Mississippi State figured something out down the stretch. We've heard Kirby Smart talk about tackling a lot. We've heard him talk about their cornerbacks and their defensive backs. This is going to be a tough test. And I've said this on this platform before, and I'll say it again because I think it fits here. And I think that we need to be constantly reminded of this because we're so pre-programmed in college sports to think one loss is an eliminator or maybe 2 losses and you're absolutely done as far as playoff contention is concerned. I truly believe that this committee will reward close losses. Keep it respectable. Think back to Georgia, Alabama. That might have been best case scenario for this UGA team. I mean, obviously they wanted to win. That's best case scenario. But if we're talking about a loss, a thriller that comes down to the last few possessions, back and forth. You're on the road there. Remember that. I think the committee will take that into account. I think a close loss against Texas is something that could keep Georgia in it potentially. I know Georgia doesn't want to hear that. I know fans don't want to hear that. I know fans want to win every game no matter what. They want to blow opponents out. But that hasn't been this year's Georgia Bulldogs team. So I don't know where that confidence would come from, especially not on the defensive side of the ball, to think we're just going to come in here and we're going to handle Quinn Ewers or Arch Manning, whoever it is, because I do think there's a possibility that we see both of the guys, both of them at some point in this game. I don't know. This is probably my last. I might join y'all again on Friday. You know what? Bookmark it, and y'all shout me out in the chat. I'm gonna throw my handles up here one more time so that y'all can pester me on Friday and make sure that I get this up. Game predictions, drop them. I think the line is 3.5 last time I checked. We'll talk again on Friday about predictions for this game as Georgia tries to shore some things up defensively headed into this matchup against Texas. We talked Hawks. We talked Zachary Reese-Hache. I gave you my confidence level on him. Headed out of preseason play. They have 2 more games there. We talked, obviously, Georgia Bulldogs. We talked Super Bowl as that returns to Atlanta for a 4th time. And then we looked ahead and did all the Mercedes-Benz talk. So now it's time to end the show, as we always end the show, with what's on my mind. Oh, let's go back to the NFL. I don't always do sports stuff for what's on my mind. I think this is a good avenue to show personality, but we'll stick with sports for now. It's fine. The trade machine has kind of been kicked up today. There was a lot of movement. Amari Cooper. But the one that was interesting to me was the Devontae Adams. And we actually saw the New York Jets in prime time last night take another L at the hands of a division foe. Aaron Rodgers is on my mind. I hate to do this to a fellow Aaron. I think we should stick together 9 times out of 10. But I think we can be honest about what this is. I really do. They fired head coach Robert Saleh a week ago thinking that was going to be the boost. Woody Johnson never fires coaches in between the season. This is a drastic move, and this is what it's going to take to shake up the locker room. Lay an egg at home. Now they're doing the big swing and not only trading for Devontae Adams, giving up capital to acquire him, and then also paying out the contract. There's some restructuring happening there. So I understand it's not a full, but truly to me, I do not see the Jets being a contender with Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. I know that's easy to say 6 weeks in and they're 2-4. Wasn't the same ledge to be standing on 6 weeks ago when a lot of people were picking them to represent the AFC East. I just don't see it. One of the big reasons why the Falcons were so sold on Kirk Cousins, or at least this is what the messaging was coming out of Flowery Branch, he's a professional. He's there every day. He's going to show guys how to show up and how to win in this league. He's done it at a big level. He's done it consistently for almost a decade now. Rodgers hasn't done that, especially not recently, not since the last decade, not showing up to OTAs. I don't get it. I don't think the Devontae Adams pick is going to save him, and I think the Jets missed the playoffs here in 2024. That's what's on my mind. That's ANF Sports Tonight for October 15th, 2024. I believe I will be back here on Friday rocking with y'all. Until then, please stay safe. Please take care of yourselves. And check us out tonight at 11. Peace out, y'all.